Hey everyone, Thyworm here, bringing you a solo self-found guide for crafting. In this series I'll talk about beginner-friendly, SSF-friendly crafting methods, and today it is all about Betrayal crafting. Crafting in Path of Exile can be daunting, and I'm certainly no Elishar or Local. Those guys are crafting geniuses. I'm pretty much a noob when it comes to crafting. I don't really like having third-party websites open, and I'm playing solo self-found, so I don't typically have the resources for these elaborated crafts. Instead, I'm using simple crafting methods that don't require many materials or all that much knowledge. In that context, we're talking about betrayal crafting today. And yeah, betrayal crafting is hardly crafting to begin with, I understand, but nevertheless, the items you can get from it are very worth it. You don't need much in terms of prerequisites, but having an atlas tree with some betrayal nodes works well, of course, or scarabs that make Jun appear in the map. In a league start scenario, I tend to prioritize Jun on the Atlas passive tree because I want to unlock her revealed crafts, and I love this method of getting gear. It's arguably not the best, Expedition is likely better, or Harvest, but preferences matter, and there is an Expedition crafting video coming soon as well. The strategy, if you can call it that, consists of two parts. First, you need to run the betrayal mechanic. And if you don't understand that mechanic, it's completely fine. You don't have to. It doesn't really matter what you choose. It matters a little bit which members you encounter, as different members provide different field mods on items, but otherwise just do the mechanic. Make random choices and the members will drop loot. Loot with field modifiers, which is the basis for our crafts. In a league start scenario, I pick up any item with a field modifier to unlock those options at the crafting bench. For the video, however, we will simply look at items that are good enough for crafting. Those items have a few decent stats like life and resistances, a field modifier, and ideally an open affix. For example, this spirit shield with tier 1 life on it. These conjurer boots with a field prefix, which is almost always a good movement speed roll, assuming movement speed isn't on the item already. Or if you get lucky, this amulet with +1 skills on it and a field modifier. To find more loot, you can use a betrayal scarab of reinforcement, making more members appear. Atlas passive nodes like effective leadership and bribery make more members appear once more and increase how many field items they drop. You should realize that 80 to 90% of loot dropped is pretty bad. That's because they're random drops, but the ones that aren't bad are definitely worth it. That concludes part 1, getting the loot. Part 2 is using it for crafting. So you've seen me loot a few items, which we are about to craft on. For that, you go to Jun, you show her the item, you click unveil, and you get your options to craft. I want to say a few things up front, however. Some item categories are easier to craft on than others. Good weapons are tough to create using the betrayal mechanic, and you're likely better off using fractured gear and essences. I find chest pieces to be rather difficult as well. On the other hand, rings, gloves, boots, helmets, amulets, quivers, and even belts, if you find those, are good candidates. Something else to realize is that the field modifiers have weight scores. The chances of certain field mods appearing are quite low, while other field mods show up all the time. Especially mods like life, mana, resistances, those are common. We use this information to our advantage to block modifiers before we unveil the item. Because if we craft life on a field item using the bench and then unveil that item with a field prefix, the field mod cannot be a life mod anymore. This means we will get other modifiers instead, which are not life, and that can greatly help us. You can of course use third-party websites to figure all of this out, but I'm simply not going to. It is no fun in my opinion. Let's go through a few examples. Take a look at these boots. We have an item with a field prefix and an open prefix. If we would directly unveil this item, there's a high chance of getting defensive modifiers like evasion, and there's also a decent chance of getting mana. So we block one of those modifiers first before we bring the item to Jun. Because what you're looking for is movement speed as a prefix. That is what we're aiming for here. While unveiling, you see how many defensive mods we still rolled. It was probably better to block evasion in hindsight, but we got the required result, which is movement speed. You can now finish your boots by crafting some more flat evasion on there, using armor scraps if you have them. And if you have them and you deem the item good enough, just slam it with an Exalted Orb. You're unlikely to use those for many other things in Solo Self-found anyway. Example 2. A Nightmare Bassinet Helm. In this situation, we have an item with 2 suffixes and a veiled suffix. This means there's nothing to block. Blocking only works if you would have an open suffix here. You can't block suffixes using a prefix blocker, so in this case you just bring the item directly to Jun and you hope for the best. We rolled a double resistance mod with Chaos and Lightning Res, which is a common outcome. You finish the item with bench crafting and life, and you have a very serviceable piece of armor with good resistances, decent life and 12% spell suppression. Example 3. Our lucky +1 amulet. Same situation as before, there are 2 suffixes present on that already and we have a veiled suffix. So just take it to Jun straight away. I'm going again for resistances, as you will likely not be chaos resistance capped in the early league, and there is your item. You can anoint it and you're all good to go. Example 4. A coral ring with again 2 suffixes and a 3rd veiled suffix. Take it to Jun straight away and get some very decent options. This time we're going for minimum endurance charges, which are great in Solo Self-found. 4% chance on kill may not seem like much, but this mod pretty much guarantees you have 3 endurance charges up during maps at all times, providing less physical damage taken and increased elemental resistances. You can finish the item with a minus mana cost craft if you found that one from Betrayal by unveiling modifiers, and you end up with a beautiful super usable ring. The last example is a shield with tier 1 life, +2 all max resistances, which can be a great mod, 1 suffix and a veiled suffix. This means we also have an open suffix, which means we should block a suffix to increase better outcomes. I am blocking attributes, which is a common role. I take it to Jun and I'm getting a bunch of resistances. Pick the highest one, benchcraft more resistances on that shield and finish it off with a slam for +68 mana. This is a very decent, serviceable shield, even without slam. There's not much damage on there, but it offers a lot of protection. And that's it. I hope you try out Betrayal. I think it's a fun mechanic. You can get very decent loot in league start scenarios, as you can tell, and let me know what you think. Also let me know if you have any suggestions, I will pin those in the comments for everyone to see. Subscribe and like for more PoE SSF content. Thanks for watching and making it to the end. Love you all. See you soon. Bye bye.